Hi there, I'm Webmaster T. As you know, I'm just a computer geek. Nobody loves me, nobody cares, nobody even knows I exist until they get a virus. Then I'm really popular. Everybody loves me for about an hour. Sometimes I stretch it out 2 or 3. You know, what few dates I do get tend to be gals with viruses. Well, the point is, I'm not a journalist. I'm not a reporter. I'm just a geek. And my editor, Randy Kirby, has assigned me the job of interviewing Foreigner. What do I know about interviewing a big-time band like Foreigner? I may be a geek, but I'm not a nerd. I have enough sense to realize that if I don't know what I'm doing, I need to call in the guys that do know what I'm doing. You guys know what I'm doing, right?
I don't know what you're doing.
Well, these are our experts. With me here at the Sedalia News Journal is Mr. Rock and Roll himself, Denny Perkins. If you listen to Bob FM, and you better listen to Bob FM, you know who Denny Perkins is. And next to him is Tim Preisendorf, lead singer for the Southbound Blues Band. He's been traveling around with Nick Moss and the Flip Tops, one of those hotshot Chicago blues groups. And I'm glad to have them here. And these guys are the experts. They're going to teach a geek how to be cool, how to interview Foreigner. Denny?
Nice to meet you.
I'm glad to meet you, Tim. I'm glad you could make it.
Good to be here.
Denny, you just interviewed Foreigner.
I did.
And I believe it's already played through the radio. You know, how did that go?
It was good. We interviewed Kelly Hansen, the lead singer for Foreigner. We had him on last week and did the interview, and they did a little radio special about the history of Foreigner. They are very talented, and they're great interviews. You'll have fun with them.
How long did it last? 10 minutes?
We set up for like a 5-minute live interview, and it went about 27 minutes.
Well, you're the expert here. What kind of questions should I not ask?
I would, I don't know which one you're interviewing, but if you was interviewing Kelly, I might stay away from Lou Gramm questions. Lou Gramm, of course, the original lead singer for Foreigner, has gone on to other things, and but Kelly took over about 5 years ago, and he's awesome.
Well, I've got bass guitarist Jeff Pilson, and although you're a lead guitar player, Tim, it seems that here recently you've been playing some blues on a bass.
Well, I have been. I got invited to play on a festival circuit, and Nick Moss and the Flip Tops needed a bass player, and converting over from my skills as a guitarist, I was able to pull through and play bass.
Where did you play?
I've been all over the Midwest, and I ended up with a large music festival in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin.
What was that like?
It was 80 to 100,000 people. It was a little nervous at the beginning, but I just had to tell myself it was just another job.
So you know a little bit about the ins and outs of bands themselves.
Yes.
You know the ins and outs about interviewing superstars.
I've interviewed a few, yeah.
I know nothing. You guys got to help me out.
You might know, when you interview Mr. Pilson, you might ask him about his background. I believe he was with a group back in the 80s that was called Dokken, which had a bunch of hit records in the 80s, a hair band and stuff. And so you might ask him about that and his history of music. And then again, you might ask about his sex life. I don't know. It's a rock and roll band, for heaven's sakes.
I'll ask him about his sex life. Do you think that would be appropriate?
I don't. I think rock bands like that brag on their prowess, you know. You might ask about just the rigors of the road. Sometimes the road is the hard part of being on the road. The playing and stuff is just the cake.
Yeah.
When you get on the road, the travel is the hard part.
Well, let's see if we can come up with, if I could just have 3 questions. What should I leave the family alone? Should I bring it up? Should I talk to him strictly about Foreigner? Or do you really think it'd be better to talk about, I mean, he didn't join Foreigner until 2004.
Well, for us, what's your angle? Do you want an entertaining interview, or do you want facts and figures? If it was me and I want to entertain my audience, I'd want to know about what life is like on the road for a band that sold 60 million records and has adoring fans everywhere, and has it changed from 1976 to 2008, and are the girls still as wild doing their 45 when they were 18?
Well, I can't promise it'll be entertaining. I just want to get through it with my skin and not look like a complete buffoon. Now, the guy you interviewed,
Kelly Hansen.
Kelly Hansen,
Yeah.
what kind of questions did you ask?
Well, you know, Kelly's really good about you ask him a question, he'll answer it, and then he kind of leads you into something else. And so we talked about the history of Foreigner first. So, you know, they first came out in 1976, and their first album went platinum, and they really didn't pay the dues a lot of rock and roll bands. I mean, they were a hit instantly. And him being the new lead singer, we asked what it was like to, you know, what to follow in those huge footsteps of Lou Gramm, and how is it. You know, they haven't had a single release now since, you know, about 5 or 6 years. They've got a brand new single coming out. And so we just kind of took it from there.
And you performed before how many people, Tim?
There was approximately 80 to 100,000
80 to
at
100,000.
this festival. It's the largest festival I've ever played at. I've toured and played smaller venues, but I was fortunate to get into that.
Well, we've only got about 60,000 viewers on SedeliaNewsJournal.com, and I got to tell you, my knees are shaking. What's it feel like to perform in front of 80,000 people?
It's a real rush. I mean, the photographers in the front row start snapping pictures, and but once you get into it, it's a neat feeling knowing that there's an ocean of people out there wishing they were doing what I was doing.
Should I ask questions like, what do you use Marshall stacks? Do you use Fender guitars?
You know, you might ask them about endorsements if they have corporate endorsements. Some music companies give away free gear for that kind of thing. And he would probably be interested to answer questions about the songwriting process and what, after so many years, continues to create their ideas for him.
You know, the only thing I could really think to ask him is, how has rock and roll changed? It seems this guy, Pilsen, has quite a history of rock and roll. It looks like he was born playing guitar. But Denny, you might know something about that.
Well, I know we talked to Kelly about that. We said, I asked him, I said, what's the difference between music today and when you guys first got started? And he said, you know, that some rock and roll today is very good, but he said a whole lot of it isn't. And you might ask what they consider good rock and roll, and why has it changed, and where's it going, and will we ever get back to, you know, the 70s type of lyric-oriented music, or what? But also I would bring up Mick Jones. Mick is the founder, of course, of Foreigner, and still with them, still writing music and playing guitar. He's one of the best guitar players in the world. I'd certainly give Mick Jones some props.
Is it appropriate to ask for backstage passes, especially while I've got him on the air?
Yeah, I would ask him. However, he'll just send you to his road manager. But I'd get him.
Yeah.
And I did get him. So, but yeah, get him. Absolutely.
You did get him.
Sure.
You're going to be at the Foreigner concert.
Oh, absolutely.
Show. Great.
Yeah, we'll be backstage, and I'm looking forward to it. It's one of the few bands that I haven't had a chance to meet, and I'm excited about it.
Is any of that going to be on the radio?
No.
That's just for you.
No, that's but we did get backstage passes away to some of our listeners, and concert tickets and CDs and stuff of their live album, and we did give a lot of that stuff away. But I too am going to escort our listeners back there.
Does KSLDL actually play Foreigner?
Oh, absolutely. Bob FM plays Foreigner all the time. All the time. We were playing their new single. So we're one of the few radio stations around the Midwest that's playing it.
Their new single, what do you know about that?
I know that it is just released a few weeks ago, and a lot of the music services or people that program radio stations haven't picked it up yet, but Bob's different. Bob can kind of play whatever we want to play, and we've decided to add that to our rotation, especially the next couple of weeks.
Well, I do know that Foreigner right now is cover of the current issue of Billboard magazine. One of these days, maybe we'll see Tim. Maybe one of these days, we'll see Denny up there. I want to thank our guests here at the Sedalia News Journal, Denny Perkins, KSLDL. If you don't listen to Bob FM, don't even watch our website. I listen to Bob FM while I work on the website. And thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
And Denny.
Just remember this, even for a geek, it's only rock and roll.
Rock and roll!